We've got a letter from Congressman Jim Jordan to the FBI Director Christopher Wray. They have actual people inside the FBI who have gone through the normal legal process to share this information with Congress to protect their identity. But they're getting pressure to reclassify cases as, quote, domestic violent extremism. We've seen it time and time again. But if these whistleblowers are correct, this is what we mean when we say a politicized legal and justice system.
Moments like this occur where it's just clear and it's not even room for speculation. It is exactly what we said was going on inside of these departments, inside of the FBI.
From this whistleblower, that agents have been pressured to do this domestic violent extremism categorization to hit self-created performance metrics. I'd like to know at what level those metrics were created. So is it seventh floor, like we were talking about, top level leadership of the FBI? Then is that disseminating down to other officials saying you need to find this many of these cases, you need to classify this many cases this way, you need to focus on this, so that President Biden's talking point is correct? That's really who they're doing this for. They're doing this so that Democrat officials, politicians, are able to cite numbers that actually prove their point that somehow domestic violent extremism is the number one threat to our country. Not the drugs, not the cartels, not China, not microchips that they control in our tanks and airplanes, cars and phones and everything else. No, it's Americans.
Much more inflated than it possibly is, to certainly shine a negative light, likely on conservatives, to start that whole spin heading into midterms.
These are whistleblowers. So this is not, we suspect this is happening. It's not a Congressman Georgia. We think it's happening. People are coming to them from inside the government saying, this is happening. We have quotas to hit on domestic violent extremism. When we don't put it through, our supervisors are unhappy with us. So to make them happy, we have to try to find in cases that don't have a link, some kind of link to domestic violent extremism. In the same letter, Congressman Jim Jordan said that the same whistleblowers have disclosed how the Biden FBI is conducting a, quote, purge of FBI employees holding conservative views. So at the same time, an organization as law enforcement, none of their views should be at play when they are making decisions about who to investigate or who to prosecute. Shouldn't matter if it's a Republican or a Democrat or someone in between, whatever their personal political views are. They have to do as best they can to put that bias aside. This is the exact opposite. What they want is no check on their power, to use these instruments of power for political purposes, whether it's to intimidate, silence, scare people from getting involved in politics.
There's a level of oppression that is happening in society. And like you said, a lot of that is coming from Washington, D.C. itself. Some of it is coming from around the world, like you said, from China or from the fentanyl crisis that's happening. And then obviously COVID and all the other situations that have come. Feels like there's a new flavor of the week. And you're saying that the biggest problem and the biggest thing we have to worry about is these domestic threats, and so much so that you're willing to falsify numbers to make it happen. It's another moment that feels disingenuous. It's another politicized moment for the FBI.
They say this is the biggest problem, the number one threat facing our country. And I see China, like when Nancy Pelosi can't travel to Taiwan without possibly World War III, the way the Chinese threaten that. When I see the drugs coming in across our border, killing Americans throughout our country. I mean, these are the security we see Russia doing whatever they want, basically in Ukraine, and scaring Europe. And we see the economic crisis we have. We're going to fight back. Every time they try to do this, it hurts them more than any American. It hurts their credit. The FBI credibility has gone just totally downhill. I don't like that. As an American, I don't.
You want to respect it. You want to respect the FBI.
I want to respect law enforcement.
It shouldn't feel like anything that is politicized. It shouldn't feel like a system that's politicized. But we've seen, whether it was this administration or the last one or even the last one, we saw that over and over and over again. And we've seen the sort of the deep state that is involved within the FBI, and that becomes a real thing. We've all seen it play out now too many times on repeat.
So we want to get to the bottom of that. We're gonna file a FOIA at the ACLJ. I mean, Logan, that's when I see those kind of points, I think those are the two areas I like to focus on. Is one, the quotas. Who set these metrics up? Is it Washington, D.C. to satisfy Joe Biden? Because that's the politicization of law enforcement, which is the worst